Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like Yvonne is got herself on mute, but here she is.
It's been an interesting start of this series that we are planning.
Yeah, Creating the New Earth is this new series that we're exploring with Ascension Wisdom TV, Yvonne's beautiful channel. She's got some amazing conscious videos and content exploring all levels of, self-empowerment to spiritual development and growth and connecting with community and really envisioning bringing into the present moment through practical tools, practical navigation, what it looks like to embody and experience at first hand in this lifetime. These communities, these intentional communities that we all intend on, particularly becoming aware of the current state of the world. It's becoming a catalyst for us to shift in that direction of really embarking on what it takes to be in an environment, not just be in an environment, but to create an environment that becomes conducive for human growth and human evolution, and enables us to raise our level of consciousness and live a little bit more in syntropy, in synchronicity, in synchronization with the flow of the natural world, the flow of energy all around us. And so, Yvonne, I just wanted to thank you and to just honor you for embarking on this journey for so many years now and initiating so many great opportunities for myself and the Earth Heroes TV community and all the members who are part of your community that get together every Monday in person to connect and drop in and explore on a real level what it takes to be a part of this common unity, the common values that we share, coming together in unity for something that is bigger than just the ego and the identity of the self, that contributes back to the greater whole and the greater good. So I'm really grateful to have this conversation with you, and just wanted to honor as well all the people listening and all the viewers and all the members, and just thank you for tuning in. We already got a couple of guys coming in from all over the world, dropping in. Jean Pitkin saying hello. This is fantastic. If you guys are watching now, just leave us a comment and we usually reply to them, and we'd love to hear if you had any questions around this, because it's something that has been really relevant now more than ever, particularly as we've been encouraged to move down that path that feels more aligned with us. And Yvonne, from your experience and the work that you do, what is the number one thing that holds people back from actually stepping into creating a community or this new earth paradigm in their reality right now?
Wow. Well, the first thing that I would say to answer your question is they don't know how. That's one thing. But the other thing is that we've been so programmed and conditioned that we don't act on things until someone leads us or someone makes a change that we can follow. And one of the reasons that I asked you to do this series with me, because this morning I woke and, I get my guidance, and they're a very strong team. And when something needs to be done, it's like, whoa, get up and get it done. And so what was being made aware to me this morning again, and it has become more and more clear, is that yes, we want a new earth. Everybody wants a new earth. And it's talked about, I write about it every day, new earth communities. And it's wonderful, but it is still not here for most people. And that is what really needs to happen. We need to land it, and it needs to become practical. And what I'm noticing is that people are still so engaged in looking for someone to fix it, someone to change things. Either the political arena, well, that isn't New Earth. New Earth is in a vibrational frequency where there are no politicians. And so when you are focusing on looking for the leaders to make a change or to give us permission or freedom to create a new earth, then you're looking at the people who are creating the problem to give you the solution. And the answer to that is just being caught in the wheel like a mouse. So this new earth that is inevitable, it is inevitable. What is not inevitable is how many humans will actually learn to get there, to bring their frequency in alignment with it. So for me, it's all about showing how to get to that place personally and as a community, and to give some practical insights. And also, I really want to invite people. I want to invite people who already are doing things, are living in a higher frequency that has gone beyond the matrix, where they are living as they are naturally meant to live in alignment with the frequency of the earth and the frequency of nature. And really, so that is my aim, and to run these series. And so if anyone who is listening who knows someone or is of themselves already doing something that is innovative and creative, that they would like to share, then they can contact us, and we would love to hear from you, and then we would love to talk about it and invite you in. It is really important that we start to show an alternative to what we have at the moment. And I know with you, Shay, you have been so invested already, like me, to create a better world, to come back to nature. And you've got this wonderful, all these documentaries that you've done over the years. And so you've got so much wisdom to share as well about already doing this practically. For me, of course, I have started working 35 years ago in educating people to become self-empowered and to have the courage to step into their natural creativity. And so that is now growing exponentially in the community that I certainly am part of right here in Melbourne. And then, of course, we've got the Brave New Life community, which is Shay's baby, and not your. It was your baby, and of course, Sov's. And it is just, there are so many people like us, and they're not seen. And so, if we're not seen, how do people have a choice? So I would really like everyone to be encouraged to go, that is the path that I choose to travel. But if we don't show them the path, then they don't know where to go. So that's really what I'm aiming for.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks, Yvonne. It's so relevant, necessary, and important right now. It seems like such a significant time to really be a part of and create these. And an example of this is the Brave New Life community. A couple of years ago, when it was birthed, it was exploding, and it was an online community just to allow people a space to come in and drop in and share and express how they're feeling, particularly in so much tumultuation and so much change and so much unsettling that we were experiencing in that period. And it was like an opportunity for us to reform and recalibrate into what we feel is more in alignment to create. And another example is there's been this huge Facebook groups online for intentional communities and living off grid and leaving the matrix and really connecting. But often what I find is many people kind of sitting on the fence and standing back and just observing and waiting for somebody else to initiate something if they're not already actively engaged, and often waiting for like some sort of a savior or someone else to lead or someone else to create the container, as opposed to them leading their own lives and creating a container that is suitable for them and the community of those around them. So I'm curious to explore this concept as to what it takes to not necessarily be the leader and create this community and but actually create a space for people to contribute and be a part of, and also to plug into that network as a contributor, from a perspective of that one that serves the greater whole, or the greater community, the greater good of everyone a part of that community. What does that take? That sense of courage and to be a part of that, Yvonne.
Courage is a good word for that. It takes a lot. But I think what it takes, first of all, is to have a vision of what this new earth looks like. And so maybe I'd like to start there. What does it look like for me? And then maybe I would like to ask you what it looks like for you. Because if we don't have a vision, if you're going to start any kind of new project, you have to have a vision. And then, you have a mission statement where you decide how to put that vision into reality. And that is really what I would like to address, particularly in this introduction. So for me, what the new earth looks like, and certainly the vision that I've been given for many years, is a place where we feel free to be able to express our own creativity. Everyone has a talent. Everyone comes with a gift, something special that they come with to actually provide in service. So how few people actually ever do that, because we're conditioned. I wrote about it this morning actually in my post, that from the moment that we're born, we are mind controlled to fit in with the culture of our familial heritage, the political situation, the financial situation, the society, and then you go to school. Well, that's the end of any critical thinking, because you're only taught what they want you to learn. And yes, this is probably going to, ruffle a few feathers, but those of you who really know me know that I never mince words when a message has to come across. At the moment, a message has to come across, because we have to leave all that behind, and we have to come home to ourselves and realize what amazing, we are such a beautiful creature of power and creativity and initiative and innovativeness that so often is stifled by all this conditioning and this programming. So the new earth, to me, the way it was shown was that we learn to be fully in our potential, where we tune into what we are best at, not what we are forced to be good at, but that which naturally comes to us. Something that is so easy, it just flows out of us. And it took me many years to give myself permission to allow this to flow out of me. And, it is when you are in what they call it, in a zone. And when you're in a zone, whether you are a mechanic, whether you are a street sweeper, whether you are, at the cash register, if it makes you feel expanded, then it is where you're meant to be. And you don't have to ask anyone for permission. In the new earth, in my new earth, we move together in a collaborative way to create a space where everyone can learn to be the best of themselves for themselves, in service for others, rather than in service for others as a collective, not in service of others, of an individual who is selling your services for their profit. So in the new earth, the middleman disappears. We are all going to be automatically responsive to each other. In the new earth that I live in, we are becoming more and more transparent. And I know that those of us who are on this journey are realizing that we're becoming more and more telepathic. It is, and we're also becoming greater manifestors. We think of something, and if it's in aligned with our highest good, it turns up. So this is the new earth revealing itself. And that is what I would like to discuss and to encourage people to become more aware of. We don't need someone else to tell us how to be or what to be. We need to come within ourselves and ask the question, if I had no one to tell me what to do, who would I choose to be? And how would I like to relate to my world? And how would I like to relate to my fellow men? That is the new earth for me.
Nice, Yvonne. That's gold. Thanks for sharing that. I love it. I love that viewpoint, and there's a lot of great takeaways in that that's really stand out for me, and particularly when you started out speaking to the vision of creation, and that is ultimately that's the ultimate like spiritual development, when you can see something that is non-physical and bring it into the physical, make it manifest and make it real in reality. That's like, that is creation. That is like the bringing the vision in and experiencing it at first hand. That's just so beautiful to realize that we all have that potential ultimately, and it's our own limits and our own blocks and our own um, story narrative that we get caught up in that prevents us from actually realizing that full potential that we really have as human beings to create, spontaneously on demand, in the moment, what is in service of our fellow, human man or woman. And and then as you kind of spoke to that, it really resonated with me that we ultimately we have that choice. That's where our free will comes in as human beings to choose to create and manifest that world of the new earth, which um, is becoming clearer and clearer and clearer for those who are, ultimately getting clearer within themselves. And a lot of these, what I love about, this age that we're moving into, is that it's not necessarily something that is just new. It's not a new concept or a new idea or something that has, just arisen, but in fact it's almost like a remembering of what is possible when we truly step into our full potential, into our hearts, and into the realization of the intuition that, we have this potential to feel into what it is others are experiencing as well. And I mean, probably so many people who are listening to this right now could probably relate with me when, and I did it the other day, I picked up my phone and I was going to go ring someone and they were ringing me already. I was like, oh, how did you know? It was one of those moments that's what you were speaking to, Yvonne, where I was like becoming more aware of that telepathic gift that many of us have, and then fine tuning it and practicing it, and becoming more aware of it. And everyone ultimately has, a different range of gifts that they have to serve the world, and not everyone is going to be, in tune and aware of all those subtleties in their life. But we spoke about this in another video with the miracles and the synchronicities and everything that arises in our environment to ultimately remind us of our uniqueness and of our power to be creators within. And then it begs the question, like what do we want to create? And this is the whole conversation around creating new earth communities. And we have to ask, like, what is the purpose and intention of a new earth community or an intentional community? And ultimately that is up to each community to discuss and express their sovereign free will of what they desire in that community and how they choose to navigate as a collective. And it's going to vary community to community, but ultimately it seems that when we're talking about a new earth experience, it's one that lives in alignment with um, the greater whole, the greater good. And there was really this grasping of this concept that ultimately we are all one. And I know it's a really cliche kind of one-liner, but it's, scientifically proven over and over again through quantum physics now. It's it's been spiritually spoken to for thousands of years. Again, this is not just new information. This has been around for a long, 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 long time. That has just been passed through the ages. It's not like we're just realizing it, but we're experiencing it. And so that story of the telepathy from the phone, it's like this signal of the thought has been sent out to that directly to that person who's tuned into my energy and my awareness, and they're realizing that, and they're already ringing me on the phone. So when we start to recognize and live in that way, then, as you mentioned before, the transparency becomes just a way of life. We're really open and honest and receptive, and we're communicating from our hearts, because we want to, love and serve those who are in our community or in our environment. And it just seems to be, a next step in our succession or our progression or in our evolution, that we move towards this direction, that we have these localized, decentralized hubs where we can really connect and drop in and support one another to move forward. Because I always see, like, if I want to do something really fast, really quickly, I'll go and do it on my own. I could drive to the shop, go and get some bread, come straight home, make a sandwich really quick. But if I want to go far, and I want to go far in a have a long vision, and I want to drive to the other side of the country, I'm going to take my friends and my family, because it's going to be way more fun, and we're going to have such a great journey on the way. So I think that there's important to recognize it might take us a little bit slower. We'll probably have to stop a few more times to go to the toilet and so on and so forth, but we can go so much further together, particularly when we're creating a vision, and when everyone has that same vision to go travel to the other side of the country, as an example. It's amazing that there's likely, in a tight space, things are going to come up for us emotionally, but if we really recognize it's all serving a function with person, that we can work through it together and come back to a place of love and connection, then we can move through it. And so, Yvonne, I would love to hear from you. What are the essentials? If we're going to step in boldly and courageously into a community, or to create a community that is very intentional, what are the practical essentials, the tools that I must be aware of and be practicing on a daily basis, in order to empower me to step into that community with confidence that I have gifts to share, and to have something to serve the community with, that is going to have a positive impact on that growth to move forward.
That's a great question. I look at the community that is growing around me, and it is a wonderful example. But you talked about each community will have its own intention and it needs to have its own rules as well, and they need to be honored. The community that I have seeded is definitely a community that is about heartfelt connection, obviously. But what is really essential is to eliminate a lot of things that we have used in the old matrix. And one of the big ones is the need for, the first thing is to learn to listen to each other and to honor what the other has to say without having to have a judgment or an opinion, or go into a state of egoic competition. Because everything in the old matrix is about competition. It's always about I've got to be better than the next guy, and if I'm not, then obviously I'm a failure. And when you look at that kind of concept, it's self-destructive. So within the community that I'm now a part of, there is this incredible openness where everyone who comes in, the only thing people want to know is, first of all, what has drawn you to us? And then second of all, what is the thing that you would most like to express that you have you felt that you haven't been able to? And so we are attracting the most amazing people, and people who have walked away. Many people have walked away from their workplace, and all I'm saying is how exciting. So now you're free to be who you choose to be without somebody giving you permission or somebody charging you for it. So we're just finding all this incredible creativity coming forward, and and the most innovative ideas. And every idea is listened to, and every idea is honored. It doesn't mean that every idea is necessarily practical, but it's always heard. One of the things that I feel that we have forgotten is to listen, and not just to listen, but to hear. Because we have learned to listen with our mind already thinking of what we can say next. which is a very, egocentric way to be, but that's how we're conditioned. And so when you throw that out the window and you just look to this person and go, I wonder what you have to offer. And when you come from that point of view, I wonder what you have to offer. And for me, it is, do you actually know how much you can offer? Because so many have been programmed into believing that they're not good enough and they haven't really got anything. But then when you encourage and when you nurture, then the most amazing things are coming up. We have just begun, a group have got together in a very small space, and we're creating a Connect to Soul community hub, which is just a space where people that are within the community can offer their services. And we have yoga teachers and healers, and we have we're starting a creativity center where people can come and do art classes, and this is what's now springing up within the community, and the excitement that it raises, because there is no one in charge and there's no one asking you for anything other than that you feel good. Whatever you do, that you do it from the heart, and you give yourself permission to thrive and to strive. And that is really how I see communities grow. And it doesn't matter what we'll all have that as a foundation, then it is absolutely beautiful. We're also, and this is something that I want to throw to you, is there are people there already starting to grow their own vegetables. And so people come in with bags full of vegetables that they share around, right? Because they can't eat everything that they're growing. And that I just love that people come in and say, oh, I've got some thyme, oh, I've got some basil, and it goes around. It's just so beautiful to see, and that's the newest to me. I know that you have a real passion about coming back to the land, and so I really would like to ask you about that and how you are seeing people already moving in that direction.
Yeah, thanks, Yvonne. That's beautiful to hear that community coming forth with the intention to give back to the community with what they've put their life force energy into, growing food. And for me, that is the essentials. There's two key areas that I feel is vital for the growth and longevity of a community. And even one of my great teachers who I look up to and have read his books, and there's a great documentary on the EHTV platform. It's from Swami Prabhupada, and he says before anything, like the number one thing you must do is self-sufficiency, and to be sufficient enough, with enough food, water, shelter, for not just yourself but your community, those who are in your immediate environment. And that's something that I have, dedicated the last number of years of my life to learn, because I had no prior knowledge of any of this growing up. And it's only as an adult I realized the importance of recognizing where food is grown, and what's fed to the soil, whether it be chemicals or organic, or what conditions they're grown in, what the water quality is like, and all of these questions, and exploring the significance and the importance of not just knowing but having that deep connection, because it's ultimately going from the garden in our hands into our mouth, in our body, and giving us that energy for our day and our life. And so for me, that's really, really important in any community, is that level of self-sufficiency, particularly in those basic fundamental areas of life. And then the second one is in the commitment to grow spiritually. And when I speak about spirituality, I'm looking at, I find it in the words. It's the ritual to spirit. And for me, that spirit is just, in two simple ways, can be explained by giving and also growing individually, because I recognize that I'm learning every single day. I've got so much to learn about myself and about others and about the land and about so many things. It's like the more that I learn, the more I realize I don't know very much at all. So it's really humbling just to be on that journey of growing and growing and growing. And I feel for a community to have that commitment to each other, to serve one another, to grow individually and as a collective, then that's a really good foundation to begin, particularly moving into this relationship that everything is interconnected. So I feel those areas are really vital. And once people have that internal shift to value in their own lives those primary foundations, then it's amazing what flourishes. And it's amazing the healing that comes from that I've experienced in my own life, for healing a lot of the past so that I can be fully present in the moment, and then also look to manifest, envision, and create moving forward in the future. And that is just a really powerful stepping stone to live in harmony, because there's this oftentimes this idealistic, romantic vision for a community to come together. And then the question is, how do we navigate the inevitable human conflict that may arise? And so for the community to have a somewhat agreement and willingness to show up if there ever is, a disagreement on something, or what is the decision-making process, and how do we resolve any conflict that may have come up? Because it's likely, the human life, we're going to be faced with challenges and problems, and people's past stories, and we might get stuck in, and that doesn't exempt me. I'm definitely not perfect, and I'm always trying my best. But the question is, how do we resolve it? And how do we feel, what makes us feel good to be able to move forward together, so that everyone can feel heard and seen and valued, and we can recalibrate to the vision of living together in harmony.
I think one of the things that we have to come back to is we talk a lot about self-love. And I would like to take it somewhere else, though. I would like to take it to self-respect. Because when you think about it, how often do we sell our soul for very small things, right? At the moment, I see it everywhere. Yeah, oh, good. I can, just put that into me, and then I can go to the movies, or I can go and have a cup of coffee. But what are you sacrificing? How much, we have so little understanding of ourselves, of who we are, and who we're meant to be. And so I just see that in the new earth and this higher frequency that we're all, being already immersed in, even whether we don't know it. You're talking about all of a sudden we have greater manifestation skills, it seems, right? And we have this greater telepathic skill. Well, how did that happen? Well, because we are all moving with this planet that is going through its own ascension process, and we are all in a higher frequency energetically in the ether. So whether you like it or not, these things are occurring within us. And we pay so little attention to us. We pay so little attention to our own feelings, our own emotions, our own needs. We are so out directed. And in the new earth, we will be very conscious of us first, because that is going to be the instrument, and it is the instrument that then gives you the clear guidance of what's next when you are in that higher state of consciousness. And it makes it so much simpler. We stop second guessing ourselves, because we're so guided. It's so obvious where we need to go next when we are tuned into what you are talking about, our spiritual self. And yes, this spiritual discipline that is essential to experience this higher frequency. As I always say, I still get up at 5:30 in the morning to do my own connection to my soul self, to my sense of being, so that I can move forward and stay focused on what I feel is my mission, to take people to this higher state of consciousness. But I would like to share something with you that I wrote recently, because we were looking for the intention of this hub that we're creating. And my community is very much focused towards ultimately uh, creating a new earth sanctuary where, and we've all talked about that. And this is a large piece of land where we can create community, where we can have the opportunity for people to come together and to create food, and there's so much more. But I just want to share with you what my team gave as the vision statement. And so this is what I wrote: a place to connect to your soul, to create, to learn, to heal, and to grow in love, in peace, in oneness for all. And that to me is the new earth. That to me is what I strive for, and to be able to live in that. Yes, we have to become it. That, I guess, is the number one. Anything that we envisage, anything that we desire, we have to become the frequency of that. So we need to look and go, and what we've been programmed to do is anything we desire, we have to earn, work for, and then ask for permission of. In the new earth, that will be gone. Because you see, we will all be coming from the heart. The ego will no longer be needing all the things it needs at the moment. We will not be in a space of survival anymore, because we will all be there to support each other, not just to survive, but to thrive. Humanity has stopped thriving for eons. That is why we've come to this crisis. And I know we won't be on a journey to extinction. I know we are on a journey to expansion. And you and I, Shay, are in that. And it's so exciting. I just want it to be available to more people, and get people to see that where you put your attention is what you feed and what you attract. So let's all put our attention to creating hubs. And it doesn't matter where you start. My brekkies, we had 35 people for brekkie on Monday morning. Now, we also do now fortnightly picnics in this beautiful park. But our brekkie started in 2019 with 3 people. So, and every week we have more people coming. And now we have a waiting list because there are no cafes that can accommodate us. So that's why we need to build our own, right? And that is part of what we're aiming for. So I just want people to feel as excited as you and I are, because we know what's coming, because we are actually actively, creating it.
Yeah, I certainly feel excited. It's like, yes, yes, it's so exciting. I love it. And it's beautiful just to hear the evolution and the growth of the community that you've initiated. And yeah, it just feels like, to me, such an epic time to be alive. Like, so much opportunity for transformation and change, and big internal shifts, what you were speaking to, and just allowing that to manifest naturally and organically into our physical world as well, just by coming together. for this bigger vision that is beyond any one person, any ego or identity, and it's it's really exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, it certainly is. But one thing that I do want to say, and that is, we've got to be so careful what we're being distracted by, because there are more distractions at the moment than there are inspiration. And so for me, it is, be so vigilant about where you are being drawn to, and we, if it isn't resonating with a new earth reality, do not invest in it. Do not have an opinion. Do not engage your emotions. It is all about focusing, and so you talked about new earth communities will have different intentions, but the foundation will all be the same. Some will be focusing on building, creating new forests, and some will be creating beautiful vegetable gardens, and some will be creating healing centers, and some will be creating, so every community will have something that will drive them. But there have to be rules. If you're going to go into those communities, that needs to be your intention too. Do not go into a community and then attempt to persuade them to come over to a different concept that you've got going. You need to honor the community that you go into, and I think that's really important at the moment, because we're still being very much distracted. And so bring your best to every community you enter, and your best. Every human being has an inner essence of kindness and caring and sharing and love. That's all that you need to bring to a community. That's all you need to bring to any relationship. And that's what
Yeah,
we do.
yeah, I agree. Absolutely agree, Mum. Yeah, so nice to have these conversations with you, just to be reminded, and keep a real laser like focus on what it is that we feel is most relevant to create in our times, with all the distractions going out over there. It's just like, no, this is, we're on path and we're on track, and the momentum is building, and together, with many hands, we can really create this experience moving forward. So I really want to thank you, Yvonne, for committing your life to this, but also voicing it and speaking it out to the world when we need it most. So really appreciate you.
Well, let's see where this takes us. I would really like to see, maybe next week you can talk a little bit more about all the things that you've been doing up north, because I know that you've been doing some wonderful things. And we will hear from other people who can contact us, and if they've got some ideas or things that they've already put in place that we can share, because this is not about just me or you. This is about creating a platform of and a series where people can find some ideas, and also feel inspired, and some courage to go out and get it done themselves as well.
Definitely. So if you guys are listening right now, reach out to Yvonne or myself, send us an email or a message, and we would love to hear your stories, or how your community is evolving and changing, and what foundational pillars you've laid for yourself. And we'd love to connect. So feel free to reach out. And Yvonne, I look forward to chatting more with you next week. And thanks so much again for your time.
Wonderful. Thanks, Shay.
All
Let's
right.
make it happen.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.